That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You can believe your ears. It is once again the Fantasy Menace here, joining me today on October 7th for the number one Superflex Dynasty Fantasy Football Show. I have Brendan Albrizio with me. Brendan, welcome back.
What's going on, Jake? It's been a while since we've recorded and we've talked to the audience. How you doing?
It sure has. Maybe I should be saying Guten Tag or Guten Morgen. I know you were over in Germany. Should we be Sprachen Sie Deutsch for this episode? Yeah.
Ooh, that's right. But you were in the EU as well, or the former EU in the UK. Were you not in London last week?
I was in London. I was in Copenhagen. I was in Sweden. So we did not cross paths, but we certainly found ways to broaden our audience and have a little more of an international presence by listening to our episodes everywhere we were. Try to get that demographic.
Saw there were listens. There were 2 listens in Europe, and I love it. Love it.
How was Oktoberfest? Let's just cut straight to the chase. I think people want to know: did you wear the lederhosen? Yes or no?
No lederhosen. Oh. No lederhosen. Is that how you pronounce it? I thought it was lederhosen. I'm not a German speaker.
You're not Sprachen Sie Deutsch.
No,
you need to
I am
Sprachen
not.
Sie Deutsch a little better.
I did not. Lederhosen. I did not. My brother and his friend, they got some, so they looked great. But I'll tell you, Jake, I was worried about Oktoberfest. As you know, but the audience may not know, I'm not a big beer drinker.
Yeah, not a whole lot of vodka tonics going on there.
Not a lot of vodka at Oktoberfest in Munich, but I drank the beer, and I will tell you that the beer was pretty good.
Bro, how many steins? How many steins are we talking about? Those big mugs?
A lot. If I have a beer, I might have 1 or 2 Coors Lights, but I probably had 4 or 5 of those steins.
Did you get up with the Pop Up band and get up there and sing "Ein Prosit" over and over again? All that fun stuff?
Yeah, that's the song that they do. Yep. Yeah, it was an awesome time, once in a lifetime opportunity for me, because I don't have many reasons to go to Oktoberfest. But it was awesome, man, and I would encourage anyone who can go. You probably should go once. It's just the way they throw the parties. They have the awesome bands. It's a great time. Everyone has great energy, too, and the Germans were very welcoming.
Look, I got to say, now we do have my wonderful wife producing these shows for us these days, helping us out. So second best day of my life, second only to our beautiful wedding, honey. I love you so much. I love you dearly. You are my flame. You are my muse. But the second best day was Oktoberfest. There is nothing like it. So maybe next year we get a fantasy draft going on over there or something. We got to get over there. I don't know. But let's get back on topic. What we are here to discuss today, Brendan, we're a quarter of the way through the season. We got some risers for our audience, the Padawans, if you will. We have selected roughly 1 player from each position, each of us. We may throw in a couple surprises, a little bonus round here and there. But we're going to go over and educate, if you will, the audience on who some of these players are that you need to be keeping your eye on, because they are ticking up the fantasy true rankings for good reason. They're showing up. They are balling up, right, Brendan? What do you think? You ready for this episode or what?
I've been ready, but it's so funny that we're doing the quarter season, even though we've got 17 games. It was like you and I talked a little inside baseball for the Padian / Padawans.
I'm pushing Padawan Star Wars.
How are we going to do quarter season now with 17 games? Is it after week 4? Is it after week 4 plus 1 game, which is actually what we're doing here? Is it after week 5, but then week 5 is too far? So it is the quarter season. I'm very excited because coming into the season, we all thought we knew what we knew. And there were definitely things that we thought we knew that we did know. And there were things I think that we thought we knew that we found out later that we absolutely had no idea. And this is why I love football, because you never know. It's on the field. These young guys can really surprise you for the better and sometimes for the worse.
Bro, listen, here's what I'll say. I think we all know that none of us are mathematicians here, correct? Is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say.
Yeah, so as far as if it's a quarter, fractions, let's not get into the fractions, okay? We've done enough math. I think we're going to keep working with that for now. But off guard, there's going to be a little gloating today. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be a little bit of I told you so going on here. There's also going to be some serious surprises that we're saying, hey, we might be wrong about these fellas. Let's keep our eyes on these fellas, right? So, Brendan, I say we jump right into this, okay? Because we are notorious for having a hard time keeping these under an hour. I'm sure the audience doesn't give a damn. They love hearing our voice, our smooth, silky, smooth voice. Yeah, that's right. And we even threw a little Dutch or German in there, Deutsch, I guess, earlier today for the audience too. But let's get into the quarterbacks, Brendan. I kind of want to start with you over here first because we are a super flex show. We like to look at the quarterbacks more than anything. These guys are important to the NFL, therefore they should be important to Dynasty. So let's get into them first. Brendan, talk to me about your number one quarterback riser right now.
Yeah, Jake, for me, it's got to be the quarterback 12 right now in the season, CJ Stroud. Coming into the season, we had him at true rank QB 13, and he's currently our true rank QB 10. I just feel like the Texans could not be happier with CJ Stroud. And if you are a CJ Stroud owner in Dynasty, you also could not be happier with what you have seen so far from CJ Stroud. Jake, this kid has looked amazing. And I will admit that I was worried right around the draft. You remember the media storm, all the stories that came out about this S2 cognition test.
He's an idiot. He's a moron. The guy's an idiot.
What was it? Was it 18%, Jake? They were saying he was in the 18th percentile.
And I was like laughably low.
So low that some reporters wouldn't even say the score, but just that it was extremely bad.
Yep.
We know about the Ohio State quarterback issues that historically Ohio State quarterbacks have struggled. So he had a lot of knocks, and I felt like they were unfair. And I told Colin that I've never seen a pocket passer get downgraded so much for being a pocket passer. Right? I mean, this guy looked great throughout his whole college career. He knew where to throw the ball. He has obvious arm talent. He seemed to know where his receivers were going to be. And sure, I think you and I had talked about before, Jake, that Ohio State, they don't let the quarterback typically audible out of plays. They call the play, and that is the play. It's a very regimented offensive system. And so there's a concern in the NFL if he's going to be able to get him out. And I just think he's looked amazing. He's looked awesome. He hasn't thrown any picks so far. I think Cam Newton is the only quarterback that has thrown in his rookie season more yards, and he's passing the stat test. He's passing the eye test on games. And I think for me, the biggest thing is that he gave a press conference after this last week, and he came up and he said, Houston and the fans, they haven't won in a really long time. I think it's been like a year at home. He said they deserve to feel good about this team. And he just said it with this earnestness and this determination, like, man, he's going to do whatever it takes to win. So I'm in love with CJ Stroud right now. I think he's shown us everything. There's going to be bumps along the way. We see it with every rookie. They're going to get film on him. The thing I think that is his biggest strength right now is how he throws with anticipation. But I just worry that in the second half of the year, the coordinators are going to start to the defensive coordinators are going to start to figure out what plays he really likes, and he's going to get himself in some trouble. But I just think you got to be along for the ride, man.
I mean, look, you're right. I think we both had him as our rookie QB too, but we were really growing towards this feeling of after Anthony Richardson, we're not sure there's anybody we want, especially when he ended up in Houston, where we thought this was going to be a long-term rebuild. This is going to take a few years. And meanwhile, he's on pace to shatter the rookie passing record, right? I think he's going to beat Andrew Luck's record of 4,000. If he stays on this pace, he's on pace to beat Andrew Luck's rookie record of 4,374 yards. He's on pace for 5,151. So it's not just by a little bit. He really is on pace to shatter.
And he's probably not going to hit that. Right?
Probably not, but also it's impressive. It's not like he's faced a bunch of bad defenses either. He's faced Jacksonville, Indy, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Those guys it's not chump change by any means. So
absolutely. And he made Pittsburgh look bad. Man, he really beat up on that team.
He did. Yeah. And he's got they're letting him throw 44 attempts, 47 attempts, 30 attempts, 30 attempts. This isn't like they're not easing him in. They're saying let it rip. Now, if you're the Dameon Pierce owner, you're probably getting a little more frustrated about that. But I think you're kind of hoping that you were going to see a lot more of them leaning on him while they get this rookie adjusted to the NFL. Nope, not the case. See you later, Dameon Pierce. He might be on our Fathers episode. We'll see. But yeah, definitely, Brendan, that's a great riser. And I still have Anthony Richardson significantly ahead of him, but it certainly looks like it's a 2-horse race right now as far as the rookie quarterbacks from a dynasty perspective.
You got to have Anthony Richardson above CJ Stroud right now, right? It's just the development in camp, or just Anthony Richardson's makeup has been awesome to watch as well, but he's got so much more potential with his legs, and that is the cap on CJ Stroud. Like, he could be a great pocket passer, but he's not going to be Anthony Richardson, 20 points in the first quarter and then gonna get you at least 30 on a bad day. He's just not that guy. But he's just been an amazing pocket passer, a great leader, and I think that if CJ Stroud gets you 18 to 22 points a week every single week and then can continue to develop into the 20 to 25 each week, man, you've got a guy.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, moving on. So a couple other guys I think we should call out before I get to my guy. That I think Brock Purdy and Sam Howell are two that we're not really going to dive into today, but they are certainly ones rising on your leaderboard there.
I like them both. I like them both. I know you like Sam Howell. I think you and I probably like Sam Howell the same amount, or I might now be slightly higher. Sam Howell, for me, there's a couple reasons I like Sam Howell. All right. One is that the dude seems tough. He really just seems tough. Reason number two is that Sam Howell's grandmother is Korean. And you gotta support it, Jake. I gotta support it.
Okay.
All right.
But
reason three is Sam Howell has these throws in every game, and he had them on Thursday, where you're just like, that throw is not going to be completed, and it is on the money.
He's a gunslinger.
But he's also so frustrating, man. He's so frustrating. So I don't know what to
give
do
him
with
time.
Sam Howell.
I think you got to give him time. So look, you didn't pay anything to get him on your roster. If you have him on your roster, you're psyched because he actually may keep this job. I think a lot of people worried that, okay, it's a 1-year stepping stone and then they're going to bring somebody else in. But he looks pretty good. Even against Chicago, where they got off to a slow start on Thursday night. We're recording this on Saturday morning. 26.42 points. He kind of looked like crap at the beginning, but he turned it around. And that's really what you want to see, that perseverance, that grit. So he has that. He's got another game of 21.2 points. He's got a 19-point game. This guy's legit. He can start for you weekly right now. He's certainly a weekly starter. And then Brock Purdy. Brendan, you got to be psyched on Brock Purdy.
I am. I was not really sure what to. He's system quarterback, clearly. Wasn't really sure what to think because we didn't see him for too many games last year, and he just went on that amazing rookie run. 7th round pick. Is it real? Is it Kyle Shanahan? This year, Brock Purdy is currently the QB 13. And I got to tell you, Jake, I do not care if it's the system or if it's him because he is running that system. I worry a little bit about the second half. In each of the games, his second half fall off has been pretty evident, but I think that that's just growing pains for Brock Purdy. I was worried about the injury. I was worried about the lack of experience. But early on in the season, I tell you, at QB 13, he's getting you points every single week. He's starting in my lineup every week. The lowest he's had is 14 points. That was against the Rams. That was a tough game for him.
He's your QB1, right? Until Tyler comes back, he's your QB1.
He is my QB1, yeah. But I'm really happy.
Until you come get Howell, of course.
Okay. Well, the ask for Howell needs to be reasonable.
Well, you need to be reasonable with your offer.
All
right. Okay. Anyways. Now, my riser is, as we alluded to at the beginning of the episode, we may have some apologies to make. And one of those apologies is to Tua Tagovailoa. Now, It seems to me that his jiu-jitsu studies in the offseason on learning how to fall are working. Now, it's too early to say, hey, he's not going to get another concussion, but we certainly knocked him for that. However, it is time to recognize if he does stay healthy, this guy is a top 8, maybe even top 5 quarterback, right? So if you take what I did, Brendan, is I took the 4 games he's played so far this year, and I took the 8 games that he played before the concussion. I believe it was before the bye last week. He came back from the bye, or last year. He came back from the bye. He wasn't the same. But if you take those 12 games and you average out the points he was scoring, and then you bring it out to a 17-game pace, he would have finished QB5 in 2022, ahead of Justin Fields, ahead of Trevor Lawrence, ahead of Justin Herbert. So this guy, if he stays healthy, you know he's in the right system. He's got all the weapons of the world. They built a system around him where it's getting out the ball quickly. I think he had been sacked twice going into this past week. He got sacked 5 times this past week, but they know how to protect him. And they also know how to get the ball out fast with those speedy weapons in Jalen Waddle, in Tyreek Hill. They brought in the superstar Chase Claypool this week.
Oh, man. Only bad news for that locker room.
Locker bomb coming in. But still, look, maybe they can turn around. They got a big piece there. My point is that offense is so speedy. You get Devon Achane now. Achane. What the hell are we calling him? We've been saying Achane. Yeah. Sounds like 4chan. Sounds like that creepy
website.
That's
why I don't want to say
the celebrity
8chan.
nudes. Yeah, no, don't go on it. But they've built that offense to be highly potent. Now they had a rough week against the Buffalo Bills. That's to be expected. I think that's the 8th year in a row that they've lost in Buffalo. So to be expected. We'll see a bounce back, I'm sure. If you have him, you got to be psyched. I don't even know if I'm trying to sell him anymore. I think I'm going to start to bet on him staying healthy. One more concussion, he's done. So there's certainly a risk factor there. But with risk comes reward. I think Tua is the type of guy you want to take that chance with now. And he's only 25 years old. They got Mike McCarthy. No, Mike McDaniel. Not McDaniels, McDaniel. The single version of him, singular. But they got him there. He seems to be the guy. He knows how to motivate them, and he's got kind of that genius factor going on too. So, again, if he can stay healthy, he's an unbelievable system. He's got some longevity in front of him of really serving your team. And I think it's time we stop just worrying about the concussions and start taking that risk and rolling the dice with Tua Tagovailoa.
Do you feel like last week they got their ass kicked by Buffalo, but it was a good thing? It was actually a good thing for that team because I think Buffalo did a really nice job of getting Tua off his timing. They were messing up the receivers at the line of scrimmage. And I know what I like about that, and I agree with you, Tua's looked amazing, and I have not been a Tua fan. I think he's the real deal. But I like that it happened in week 4 because Mike McDaniel has shown that he can adjust his offense. He did it over the offseason because second half last year, the Dolphins swooned down the stretch when people figured out everything's cutting inside, so just shade to the inside of every play and mess up the receivers. This year, there's a lot more wrinkles in it, but I like that it happened early on because I do think Mike McDaniel's going to adjust, and Tua's got all the talent to be able to do it, and I'm just really surprised. He's really taken that jump this year.
Was that a question that you started with? Do I think?
Do you think it was good that Buffalo?
Yeah. They got punched in the mouth. It's kind of one of those rallying moments for them. And also keep in mind, Jalen Waddle's been dealing with that abdominal injury since preseason, since camp actually. So he's not his full self yet either. They're seemingly bringing him along slowly. So once he gets to full speed, who knows? The sky's the limit. I don't think you'll see some of these, 13 and 14 point games like he's put up. Is going to be more along the 2 28-point games that he's put up so far this season. So, yeah, I'm with you, Brennan. I think that's a good thing for them. Now, going to transition over running back now. And I'm going to go first because while I was apologizing for one, I have a major confession to make here. And that, Brendan, is that I am a diehard Swiftie. I am a diehard Swiftie. And while as a Swiftie, I had to endure a cruel summer where everybody is saying they're never, ever, ever getting back together again with this individual because of bad blood or whatever you want to call it. They had to shake it off. And let me tell you something. I am enchanted. I am developing a love story with DeAndre Swift. Bring him on over. Good God, Brendan. It's about time I get to brag about my love for DeAndre Swift. I've waited years for this. Tell me, are you a Swiftie, Brendan?
I wasn't sure what to think after his explosive week 2. And I am kind of coming around to DeAndre Swift. So the biggest knock on him was, and I know you say it all the time, but I say it because there's data to back it up. But it was
I knew you were trouble.
His ability to go north-south. And the NFL Next Gen Stats actually has a stat for this. They call it efficiency. Efficiency, according to Next Gen Stats.
Okay? This is
efficiency with an E.
Okay.
Rushing efficiency.
Thank you.
It's taking the total distance a player traveled on a rushing play per rushing yard gained. So you know how sometimes a running back will go left and right and then gain 3 yards, but maybe they ran 6 yards?
Mm-hmm.
Efficiency measures that. So they're looking at the entirety of what a running back will cover for a ground and how many yards they gain. So a lower efficiency rating is good, or number is good. It means that the running back typically goes straight, or they call it north-south. Historically speaking, in DeAndre Swift's career, he has been middle of the pack to bottom. Guess where he is this year, Jake, in NFL Next Gen Stats efficiency?
Where's that, Brendan?
Number 2. He is
Woo!
number 2 in efficiency. The only running back that is above him is
Christian McCaffrey.
A-Chain.
Oh,
Is the only running back that's above him. And it's been amazing because we heard the whispers, the data backed it up out of Detroit. He wasn't the guy that was going to go north-south, and he's doing it this year, and he looks great. I'll let you brag because you have been the only person in his corner in our league, on this show, in our other Dynasty League. Everyone was ready to cut bait on Swift. Even the Lions cut bait on him. In real life, the team cut bait on him, and you were the only one that held on to him.
That's right. I sure did. And guess what? That's karma, and he's turning into my wildest dreams. I'm going to keep going with these Swifty analogies here. But, however, a lot of people are going to knock on, well, it's the O-line. It's the O-line. He's finding a lot of blank space. Again, there's another one for you, Brendan. But
he had a great O-line in Detroit, too.
He did. So he did. He's averaging 6.12 yards per carry this year. That's more than Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, Chubb before he got hurt, Aaron Jones. He's gotten stuffed at the line of scrimmage only 5% of his rushing attempts. That's a league low. So the O-line is certainly helping him, but his vision is also helping. If you watch him, he's significantly better than any of the other running backs on that roster. They're still not utilizing him the way you want to see. He started week 1 with 29% snap count. Then he jumped up to 75% when there was all those injuries on the team. He dropped back down to 54. Last week was 63. They're ramping him up. He's not going to be a bell cow, but it doesn't matter. When you're doing 6.12 yards per carry on an offense as potent as that, he's not going to score many of his points with the touchdowns because Hurts is always going to be a threat there. But God, if you have Swift, his stock is back up. You are a true Swifty. Sorry, Brent.
Well, his stock is back up for everyone else, but for you, I feel like it's at the level it has always been since you drafted him 4 years ago.
We've regressed to the mean. All right, Brendan, I had to get that out of there. I had to get that off my chest. I have been so excited about DeAndre Swift. The Taylor Swift nonsense, get it out of here. But if you're a real Swifty, you love DeAndre Swift. Brendan, who is your running back riser?
Yeah, my riser, Jake, is a guy that I've liked. I will admit I haven't loved him, but I've definitely liked him, and it's David Montgomery. It's the guy who took over the Jamal Williams role in Detroit. And I think he's going – I don't know if he'll score the same number of touchdowns Jamal Williams did last year, although he had a wonderful game against Green Bay. But I think that there's a lot to like about David Montgomery. First of all, he seems to be the type and style of player that Dan Campbell likes. David Montgomery is a solid running back. He's good at running. He's not great. He is good with his hands. He's never been great as a receiver, but he's always been good. His yards per carry average is typically right around, if not right below 4. Last year in Chicago, it was 3.99. In 2021, it was 3.77. 2020, it was 4.33. So he's just about 4 yards per carry. And then when Chicago had all those injuries, when Tariq Cohen went out, then he started getting more receptions. So he's like a really solid running back. But I think the thing that Dan Campbell likes about him is he seems to be well-rounded and know every play. He goes north-south when he needs to. He's a good veteran guy in the locker room by all accounts, and he's doing really well. And before the season, we had him as our true rank running back 29, and right now he's our true rank running back 21. And currently on the season, he's the RB 10 overall in our league. So he's
probably climbing too. He's probably going to keep climbing if they keep using him the way they are. He stays healthy. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think that's a big enough jump to reflect really how great he's been and how much you can start to trust that they are going to use him regardless of the stock that they invested in Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is a whole nother story. You, again, another more foreshadowing. You might see him on our Fallers episode. I'm not out on Jahmyr Gibbs by any means, but you certainly invested heavily in him. You hope to see a little more of him, specifically when Montgomery is out on week 3. If you take Montgomery's 3 games that he's played and you average the amount of fantasy points that he had, 19.97 points. That would have been RB3 last year if you extrapolate that out to the season once again. Now, he was injured, so if you take that into account, it's 14.97. And that would have been running back 11. Still an RB1. So they're going to use him. They're going to grind him down to the bone, I think, and he's up for the challenge. He loves the job. He's exactly what Dan Campbell likes, like you said, Brendan. So if you have him, I think McHugh in our league of record, made quite the trade to get him. Was it Rashad Bateman straight up for David Montgomery? I think it was.
It was Rashad Bateman for David Montgomery. So
you got to be loving
Bateman.
that right now, McHugh. So
yeah.
that's those are the type of trades I don't think you can do anymore. I don't think anybody's going to do that unless you're in a rebuild. Montgomery's 26 years old. He's probably got a couple more years, but they are going to use him for those couple more years. And again, if you're a Jahmyr Gibbs owner, you're kind of panicking on this usage because I don't think it's a 1-year deal in Detroit for Montgomery.
Yeah, no, I think it's a multi-year deal, and I think the comp that I've seen that's probably the closest for Gibbs is Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, when he first came out, he was only getting about a third of the snaps, and he was getting barely any rushing attempts. The difference is that Kamara was getting a lot more targets in the passing game. Gibbs it's only been 4 weeks, but Gibbs has been a lot more up and down. Also, Gibbs isn't quite as big. I think Kamara's got like 15 pounds on Gibbs. So you worry a little bit about that.
Substantial difference, by the way. That is a significant difference when you're talking about running backs.
So I think it's a decent comp. We got to see more from Gibbs. I think in the passing game starts there, then that'll give him more. But yeah, it's clear to me that the RB1 is Montgomery, and we thought it was going to be a true timeshare when in reality it's Gibbs is spelling Montgomery.
I think we thought it was going to be more Gibbs. I wasn't thinking timeshare. I was thinking 60-40 Gibbs and going to only increase. So there you go. Now, bonus player right here. Bonus player. It's all the coins coming down. You know what I'm saying? You won the jackpot. Kyren Williams. Brendan, I'm here before we move on to wide receivers to tell you and all the Padawans, that they are wrong and they are undervaluing Kyren Williams.
The RB3 on the year. Everyone is undervaluing.
Excuse me. No. This is my victory lap. Excuse me. Unranked going into the season on our true ranks. Currently, true rank 29. Brendan, how dare you? You know where I have him ranked right now, Brendan? I currently have Kyren Williams. Well, I'm looking at your horrific rankings. I have Kyren Williams ranked RB14. Dynasty, RB14. You know why I have him over? David Montgomery. You know why I have him over? Najee Harris. No, I
think a lot of people have him over Najee Harris.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Well, that's
okay. Let me explain something to you. First of all, this is one of those instances where you need to listen to the coach hype. All off season, Sean McVay was talking about how much he loves Kyren Williams. You know what we were doing? Oh, he's too small. No, it's not going to work out. Blah blah blah. He wasn't lying. The usage and the efficiency of which Kyren Williams is demonstrating. Brendan, he's on a 94 target pace for the season right now. 94 targets. That would have been third last year, just behind Eckler and CMC. More impressively, he's on a 272 carry pace, which would have been fifth last year. So they are using him like a alpha male receiving and running back. This is the exact type of guy you want to get. And Brendan, I know you made a comment that he's a Sean McVay running back. I don't think so. He's no joke. He went up, put up 28 points against San Francisco's defense. That is no joke. That's one of the best rushing defenses in the league. You normally expect your guy to get 0 points when you're going up against him. Brendan, explain yourself.
Jake, let me just say something right now.
Whoa. Also 561-yard receiving yards pace, which would have been third last year as well for running backs. Thank you.
Let me just say something right now. He's actually a Sean McVay running back. That's first and foremost. He's on the Rams, Jake. He plays for Sean McVay. And I will give you that we had no advanced knowledge that Cam Akers was a bad locker room guy. Had I known that, I never would have drafted him in redraft, and I wouldn't have offered him.
Is this sarcasm?
No, this is serious. I mean, Cam Akers is like a bad locker room guy. That's why they got rid of him.
Weren't they shopping him last year because of that exact thing?
Yeah,
Brandon,
but they said they repaired.
keep your ear to
they
the
repaired,
ground. What are you? You got to hear the Buffalo coming.
They said that they repaired the relationship.
Uh-huh.
Here, Kyren Williams is a conundrum to me because he's been scoring points. He's looked okay, but he's been scoring a ton of points. But what scares the shit out of me, Jake, is his athleticism. His 40-yard dash coming out of Notre Dame is 4.65. He had solid hands at Notre Dame. In 2021, he had 42 receptions. The year before that, in 2020, he had 35 receptions. Always been great hands. He had over 1,000 yards in those 2 seasons rushing as well. But he isn't fast, and the knock on him was that the stats are there, but is this athleticism going to play in the NFL? So far, so good, but I don't know long term. He's a 5th-round running back, and he's not especially explosive. He's getting a lot of passes or a lot of targets right now from Matt Stafford. You like that, but I just don't know how long you can ride this gravy train, Jake. I feel like I hear you on Kyren, but how can you not be trying to sell him high right now?
Don't you almost like that he doesn't rely on his speed to have the success at a young age? That, to me, it almost means he can sustain it further. I think that's a good thing.
But he's got to find himself in the right situation. His yards per carry right now are
which
below
he has.
4.
As long as he's in the Rams, he is clearly in the right situation. He's put up 28 points twice already this year against solid defenses. The proof is in the pudding. You need to get your ear on the ground, Brendan. You're not here in the Buffalo. They're going to run right over you.
Where do you think he ends the season? Okay, RB, not true rank. Where do you think he ends the season as a running back? Right now, he's the RB3.
I think pending good health, obviously, I think he finishes a top 12.
Wow. Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, if he stays healthy, without a doubt. He's put up 17, 28, 27, and then an 8.5 game.
Kyren or
that
Etienne?
Usage.
Kyren or Etienne this year?
I have Etienne ranked above Kyren, but
for finish, not true rank, for finish of the season, Kyren or Etienne? Who's higher?
Kyren. I think Tank Bigsby plays a role in that personally, but it's Kyren. There's nobody else behind him. They are no longer in the sweepstakes for Jonathan Taylor. They're not really shopping right now. Or looking, I should say. So, look, they love him. That offense is potent. I think we're going to talk a little more about that in a minute. But they are using him in the receiving game. So if you're talking PPR leagues especially, I love him right now. He is a league winner, in my opinion, especially in redraft. If you got him late, he is one of the top league winners in the league right now. Now, Brendan, that might be a great transition to another wide receiver that you and I have to acknowledge, right? I don't think he's either of our risers because it's a little too obvious. But on the same team, your boy, Puka Nacua. What is going on here? Rookie wide receiver 1?
Ooh. Only 1 touchdown, and only 1 touchdown, which is shocking because of the number of points he's scoring. But yeah, Puka Nacua, the same team, obviously, he's currently the wide receiver 5. He was obviously unranked right now, true rank wide receiver 23. The thing that just sticks out to me is, and I think anybody looking at the stats, are the number of targets that Puka Nacua receives. But then you go watch the games, and for whatever reason, every time I turn on the TV, I'm watching a Rams game. I can't explain it. It's like I watch the Pats, I watch the Rams, and I watch the Falcons every time. I've seen all of those games. But when you watch the games, the reason he's getting these targets, Jake, is that the guy is always open. He doesn't have especially explosive speed. It's like he's got a feel for how to use his body and his leverage, and he knows where to be, when to be. I heard a story this week that one of the reasons that the Rams were talking up Puka Nacua in camp wasn't just... Well, he's not a
I'm still stuck on my Swiftie.
Get out of here with that. Get out of here. We'll get to more of that, or we'll see more of that certainly on Sunday if she goes to the next game.
Oh, God.
But one of the reasons is, this Breakfast Club that Stafford and Kupp had with Sean McVay? They'd show up early, and Whitworth was there last year, 5 a.m. Guess who started joining them this year? Apparently one morning in camp, Puka Nacua knocks on the door, and goes in the room with Stafford. I'm pretty sure Cup was there and McVay, and says, "Hey, can
Has
I
some
join?"
has some Hawaiian sausage to offer
Yeah.
to the breakfast platter.
So I love it. I love that he's putting in the extra work. He's getting close to Matt Stafford. That's how Cup did it. He's always open, solid hands, and he's got great size, 6'2", 205, and he uses it well. So I think there's a lot to like about Puka Nacua, and I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, I mean, 15 targets, 20 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets. Those are his 4 games so far this year. We have Cooper Kupp coming back this week. Sean McVay knows how to sustain an offense with 2 weapons receiving. So I'm not worried about that, especially since they kind of tapered off on the targets of the last 2 games. Last game, he had 10 targets, still very high, but significantly less than what he had at the beginning of the season or the first half of this quarter. Still put up 31.3 points. So you're not really panicking, I don't think. That might come down a little bit. I don't think he's going to be behaving like wide receiver 1 weekly, but he still looks like he could be a top 12 guy any given week. So it's definitely worth a mention in our risers. But Brendan, tell me who your riser is for this week.
Well, it's the guy that CJ Stroud's throwing to, the Michigan man, Nico Collins.
This is your victory lap. You need to take this lap.
Man.
Round of applause.
Nico Collins coming out of Michigan. I drafted him in a different league, obviously. I drafted him in the League of Record as well. I've been a huge Nico Collins fan, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it because the situation in Texas has just been so abysmal. Is it Nico Collins isn't going to be the guy that we thought? He's going to be the yak monster. He's not going to be able to be at 6'4", 215, the guy that we hope he is. Well, it turns out he is. Coming into the season, true rank, he was unranked. He's currently our wide receiver 28, and on the season, he's wide receiver 8. And I just think, Jake, my favorite catch of the year of anybody, and I admit I'm biased, was the catch he had last week, that 50-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. If you watch his route and CJ Stroud throwing to him before he even looked for the ball, the breadbasket in stride, it's the perfect throw to a 6'4" receiver in stride. CJ Stroud knew where Nico Collins was going to be. Nico Collins knew where that ball needed to be and where it was going to be. It's like they are just so in sync. So third year, this is Nico Collins' third year. This is the breakout, and CJ Stroud was the guy he needed. I think he's wide receiver 8 right now. I'm not sure if he'll be top 10 by the end of the year, but I think around wide receiver 15 probably, because like I said with CJ Stroud, I do think that coordinators are going to start seeing a lot more. They're going to have a lot more film on him. They're going to start scheming. It's going to get harder in the second half of the season. But what I've seen so far from Nico Collins, Jake, I am so excited. The Michigan man lives.
You got to be. Yeah, and kudos to you. He's been one of your guys for a little while, and I'm happy for you because he's certainly panned out. You're starting him every week, no doubt about it. Now, scheming against him, like you're saying, Brendan, we're going to see how that turns out in these next 2 weeks. He faces Atlanta this week and then New Orleans the following week. Those both are no joke as far as pass defense against wide receivers goes. But I think some of the argument is, well, Tank Dell is emerging. You got to watch out for Tank Dell. They also have John Mechie. Tank Dell and Nico Collins both scored over 20 points in week 2. So week 2, Tank Dell had 20 points. Nico had 27.6 points. There is enough to share there, especially when we talk about what CJ Stroud is doing from the pace that he's on with the passing yards. So, man, he is a steal. I think you also want to have Tank Dell on your roster too. It looks like they're emerging. They could be a really good 1-2 punch. Nico being that big guy, the go up and get it guy. Tank Dell a little bit smaller, but still that gritty guy. But
yeah, they run different routes. Tank Dell's 165 pounds soaking wet. But he's a burner, so he's going to be down the field. Nico Collins is that big body receiver, but also a yak monster. Currently, Jake, he's number 2 in the league in yak above expectation. The only guy above him is Jalen Waddle, and I heard he's pretty good. A lot to like there, man.
Got a hell of a touchdown dance, that's for sure. All right, I'm going to move on. Look, this is turning into a braggadocious episode here where we're all just kind of picking our guys, the guys that we've had our flags planted on and saying, I told you so. But this is another instance of that, and it is DJ Moore. Now, it might be a little unfair that he has the advantage of just playing the Thursday night game where he had a decent game of 8 receptions for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns, surmounting to 49 points. But, Brendan, let me tell you, This guy is no joke. 26 years old, finally has a quarterback. Everybody had Justin Fields in the grave. Justin Fields has a perfect passer rating when he throws to DJ Moore. Rightfully so, because DJ Moore is a wide receiver one, bona fide, lock it in, get him on your team. Week 1, horrendous week. He put up 4.3 points, only had 2 targets. That offense was clearly trying to pick up speed. Week 2, 16 points. That's more like it. That's what you're starting to look at. Week 3, I think he got kind of lucky with a garbage time touchdown, but you saw the targets increasing. You saw that he's becoming a focal point of the offense. Denver, he puts up 27 points, 9 targets, 8 receptions, a touchdown, 131 yards, and then the explosive game against Washington. Now, Washington is a terrible pass defense, so I don't think you can count on 49 points going forward each week. However, these next 3 weeks are no joke. He's got Minnesota, Las Vegas, and the Chargers defenses. Those are not good pass defenses at all. J.C. Jackson just left the Chargers. They spent all sorts of money. He's coming over to the dumpster fire.
Coming home.
All I'm saying, 26 years old, he's got plenty of runway left. They brought him in. Justin Fields and DJ Moore's chemistry is clearly growing. He looks to him every single time they need something, and he is getting open. Don't let his size fool you. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, but he can get those contested catches as well. He knows how to get the feet in. He's one of the best route runners in the league, and he's pretty freaking strong. So he's got a little bit of everything that you want, and he's got all the attention of his quarterback. Brendan, I am in love with DJ Moore. He is my guy, and it is paying off. I think I traded away Deebo Samuel in a second for DJ Moore in a third, and I think that was a risky trade. I think people looked at as I was giving up a little much to go get my guy, but I'm very happy with that right now. Where are you on DJ Moore?
I love DJ Moore, but I had to look up DJ Moore's age 3 times because he's only 26 years old, but I feel like DJ Moore has lived 7 lifetimes in the NFL. When he came in the NFL, he had a very good rookie season, an awesome year 2, a great year 3, a good year 4. We didn't quite see the jump we were hoping for. And then last year, we all know, not so great in Carolina. But he's only 26 years old, so he came into the league really young.
Very young. 2018 is when he came in. Yeah, just for reference. But yeah, that's what you're looking for.
He's always had the talent. We always hoped that the quarterback situation was going to work its way out. First in Carolina, now in Chicago. I think DJ Moore is a great guy to like. The only thing I worry about, Jake, is while Justin Fields has a perfect passer rating to DJ Moore, which will not continue the rest of the year.
How dare you?
Is he sort of tied to Justin Fields here? If they bring a different quarterback in next year, how's he going to look? Is he going to be out? Is he even going to be here through a rebuild? Because next year he'd be 27. And if Chicago decides that they're going away from Justin Fields, I got to think DJ Moore is back on the block, and he's going to be on a different team, and he's going to have to try to rebuild all over again.
No way. If they go away from Justin Fields, it's for somebody like Caleb Williams or Drake May. It's going to be a superstar that they're bringing in. Fields is going to have to really implode for them to do it for anybody other than one of those stars. If they have 2 first-round picks, they were going into this week, they were projected to have the number 1 and number 2 pick, I think. So there is a possibility, but if it is, it's going to be for a generational talent. You want somebody like DJ Moore, who, Brendan, keep in mind, a wide receiver average prime age is 27 years old. So he hasn't even hit his prime yet. You're going to want that wide receiver there to help this rookie come along, have that safety valve. They also will probably bring in somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. to help develop. So I'm not afraid of that at all. He's either staying with Justin Fields or he's going to be a key piece of that next development stage with another quarterback. I tend to believe Fields is going to still be there, but we'll see about that. Brendan, let's get to the most exciting position. That's tight end. Kidding a little bit. We all know super quarterback. But there are some risers in tight ends that we need to talk about. Brendan, take us away. We got 2 more players left.
Yeah, I've been on the Sam Laporta train all year. So, well, I won't say all year. Since after week 1, I really got on the train, and I've just been riding it ever since. Week 1 was his worst week at 8.9 fantasy points, but he has been amazing.
He has.
Jake, before the season coming in, he was our true rank tight end number 11. Currently our true rank tight end number 4.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of reasons for that, but the prime reason is that Sam Laporta has been getting the opportunity. He's been on the field for almost 80% of the snaps every single game. He's got a minimum of 5 targets per game. He's the tight end 3 on the season, and he's looked well in the pass game. He's looked really strong in the block game, and this is something you just do not see out of rookie tight ends. Typically speaking, we all know it takes about 3 years for a tight end to finally start developing because of the complexities of the blocking, of the schemes, of the routes that he has to run. Coming out of Iowa, tight end U, I think that they're really going to earn that name with him because, man, Jay, he has just been awesome. Can he keep it up all year? I tend to think so, and I think so because he's got the blocking and the passing, and that's typically what's going to do a young tight end in. It's the blocking and the amount that they have to block in the pros versus the college. But because he's been such an awesome blocker, Dan Campbell's been trusting him out there, which means he's going to get the snaps. He's going to get the opportunities. So I love what I'm seeing out of Sam Laporta. I've been on that train since week 1. And I think that you've got yourself a generational prospect here that actually might turn out. TBD on some of the other ones that we thought were generational too. But I think Sam Laporta, he's got all the tools that you want in a tight end.
Yeah, and I think we slept on him. He's officially, I wouldn't say we slept on him, but he's officially Fantasy Menace's rookie tight end 1. I think that's safe to say now. He's surpassed Dalton Kincaid. Not to say anything poor about Dalton Kincaid, but I may have slept on him because if you look at his image on Sleeper, he looks like Ben Roethlisberger after he just inhaled a whole bunch of helium and heard his squeaky voice for the first time. He looks pretty goofy, but the opportunity is there. There's no denying it. We have Jameson Williams coming back, so keep your eye on that as far as target share is concerned. However, he's if you take away Cole Kmet, who's already played his week 5 game going into week 5, he has the 4th most targets in the league for a tight end. So no joke, he's stepped right up. Typically you wait for these young tight ends to develop. It takes a couple of years. Kyle Pitts, pull it together. But he's doing pretty well, and it looks like he's going to be a focal point of this offense, and it is a potent offense, so that's exactly what you want to see. Now, my tight end happens to be the one in 3rd place for targets on the year so far. And that is somebody that it's time we give a little damn respect to. My main man, Evan Engram. Okay, now, from a dynasty perspective, might not be as exciting because he is a little bit older, but keep in mind, Brendan, he came into the league with the New York Giants highly hyped. It was him and O.J. Howard.
So much hype.
Him and O.J. Howard looked like it was going to be one of the best tight end classes coming in a long time. O.J. Howard is an absolute bum. He's gone. Evan Engram struggled with a lot of injuries at the beginning of his career. Seems like the Giants just couldn't get it going. He had some drop issues there as well. Seems like it got in his head. Gets traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. All he does is finish tight end 5 last year. You know what he's at right now, Brendan?
Tight end 5?
Tight end 4. He is currently tight end 4, and that actually is he's tight end. That's behind Cole Kmet, who already played. So he should be tight end 3 if you want to look at it for a level playing ground here. It's on, me, you, and Colin. And Colin, we miss you. We wish you were on the recording today. Colin is away for the weekend celebrating his wife's birthday. So happy birthday, Julia. But we've spoken about it at length that the weapons on Jacksonville are really hard to trust. You don't know who to trust because any given week it could be Zay Jones, it could be Christian Kirk, it could be Calvin Ridley, it could be a Travis Etienne game. The one constant on this offense so far has been Evan Engram. Week 1, five targets, but he put up 9.9 points. That's pretty good. Since then, 8 targets every single game. There is a pattern that we're seeing here. He is becoming a focal point for how they open up the rest of that offense. And I just don't think you can sleep on him anymore. That's back-to-back years where he's on pace for top 5 tight end, and those aren't easy to find. Yes, he's getting older. I think he's got a few more years certainly in him. He seems athletic as hell. So that's somebody I'm trying to go out and get right now. I think people are still sleeping on Engram because of the beginning of his career. They're overlooking just how good this guy is.
Yeah, Evan Engram, I am one of those fantasy owners that, not in Dynasty, but in Redraft, was burned by Evan Engram several times. The hype, the athleticism, the profile, that he had no competition for so long in New York and just never could put it all together. Ended up signing that 1-year deal last year with Jacksonville. I was highly suspicious of that because I always feel like if guys don't have anything to show you in the first, what was it, 5 years,
Yeah.
and he's probably got nothing there. But he looked good last year, and he looks good this year.
Yeah.
They've got some issues on that offense. I think that they're going to figure it out. Doug Peterson and T-Law, they'll figure out what to do there. But the past 3 games, 8 targets per game. It's like, whoa, okay. And he's catching the vast majority, though. So you like what you see out of Evan Ingram. It does feel like the change of scenery is one of those times where it actually worked. And I think that he's got Trevor Lawrence's trust. And while the receiving situation is up in the air on who is going to be there who's going to be ultimately the weapon that you like, I do think Evan Ingram is a solid, you can rely on him solidly in your tight end spot.
Yeah. And it's to put it into context, to compare it to DJ Moore, he came in a year before DJ Moore. So DJ Moore is 3 years younger, but it's only one more season in the NFL so far. And if you look back at it, 2017, his rookie season, he finished the tight end 5. So that's 2 seasons he's finished top 5 already. Then the next 2 seasons, he only played 11 games and he played 8 games. So that's where injuries plagued him. Then Daniel Jones came in. So maybe there was something there with that chemistry wasn't working. Maybe it's not Daniel Jones' style, but for one reason or the other, 2 more years just didn't work out in the Giants. Then he goes to Jacksonville. So, Brendan, I think this is somebody you want, especially if you're in win now, if you're trying to win this year. Evan Ingram is definitely somebody you want to go get. I have Evan Ingram and TJ Hawkinson on my roster. I'm having a hard time deciding who to start these days. Now,
play them both.
I have Hawkinson. I have Hawkinson in the starting lineup. I have him higher in my rankings without a doubt, but it is genuinely a close argument between the two. Brendan, we did it. We did it.
That's it.
We went through the risers. These are some of our favorite guys right now. Some of them, Tua, like I said at the beginning, none of us like, but that's how you adjust Podians. That's how we get it going. You need to stay fluid. You got to keep your ear to the ground, Brendan. You got to hear the buffalo coming, because there are some assumptions that we made that are true. There are other ones that are catching us off guard. If you're sleeping at the wheel, it's not going to end pretty for you. So keep an eye on these guys that we're talking about. We'll keep bringing some more of these risers to your attention, folks. And then also, we'll have a Fallers episode coming up pretty soon. Brendan.
Ooh, it'll be a bloodbath.
It will. This one was a positive one. We can bring the negativity too. This is light side. We're going to do a little dark side pretty soon. Looking forward to having Colin back on the show. Brendan, anything else for the audience before we sign off here?
I think that's it for today, but stay tuned for the Fallers. And I think next week, we've got our quarter season Dynasty Awards.
That award show. We'll bring our tuxedos. It'll be a black tie event. It'll be very exciting. Maybe we'll have some bands playing us off if we're going too long. Who knows? All right, that's it for this week, folks. We'll see you soon.
Thanks all.